So our social mission, as we've talked about a lot, is better information equals better decisions equals better lives. And there's probably no better application that we have to provide information than our core and advanced analytics. So to explain more about the applicability of core and advanced analytics for our carrier clients, I'd like to introduce to the stage Vice President of Solution Engineering, Stephen Lance.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Mic 5, can you hear me? We good? Okay, great, thank you. Again, Stephen Lance, Vice President of Solution Engineering. And I'd like to share with you just some thoughts on our approach and how we really think about one of our newest adds to the carrier portfolio, core and advanced analytics, specifically for our carrier customers. Okay? So when we really think about the market, we think about the trends that are transpiring in the market. We think about the conversations that you as carriers want to engender with you around the claim data between you and your employer customers. And we think about the common business challenges that may hinder that conversation, the effectiveness of that conversation. The second lens that we'd like to look through is really the lens of the user. Sound software design really begins with the user and all else follows. Okay? And we really understand the needs of each particular user constituent within this claims conversation. We're able to craft our offering in a way that really fits each user's need. And then finally, we're able to take that offering of the core and advanced analytics and make sure it dovetails nicely into the broader portfolio of products and services that we offer to our carrier partners in our carrier product portfolio. And that is where the real value of this offer resides. It resides for the carrier in being able to drive efficiency and accuracy into that conversation, and then it accrues to the employers in being able to derive key insights from that data around managing their business. So let's really start at the top of that bullet point list with the trends and implications that are driving how we're thinking about core and advanced analytics. As you well know, and as we observe as well, the self-funding model is becoming increasingly prevalent for our carriers. Between 2010 and 2015, if you look at the percentage of employees that were covered by a self-funded plan, that went from 49% to 63% in total. In 2015, if you look at those employers with employees with 200 or more, 83% of employees in that demographic are covered by a self-funded plan. So and those self-funded employers are progressively getting smaller, okay? But using claim data to inform business decisions is not simply a business challenge for self-funded employers. There are fully insured customers out there that are craving insights to help them drive the trend below this year-over-year cost increase in their premium that they're experiencing. So when we turn that attention to the carriers and we think about what implications does that have for us in our business, first is obvious. There's more data being required by more people to drive insights into their business in the self-funded arena. Also, we have fully insured employers that would really love to engage around this data, but don't necessarily want to dig into the data, interpret it themselves. They're really looking for the key deductions and insights that will be helpful to them without necessarily getting their hands dirty in the data. And the burden that provides back to our carriers is the fact that they have to manage this data in a very strategic way. Some data that's appropriate for a self-insured employer may not be helpful to a fully insured employer, right? And they need to do this, meet this demand in a much more efficient way because there's more demand there, okay? So then we take those trends and we start to apply them to the users. Who is in this conversation with claims data, okay? And what data do they need and how do they need to interact with that data so it's helpful to them? So the three constituents that we have our eye on is first the member. How can that claim data inform the decisions and the key points of the relationship between your member and the health plan? Secondarily, it's that group HR administrator. Although they may not want to dig into the data and manipulate it themselves, they may certainly have some interest in some key insights that they can derive from that data when they're looking at long-term trend. And then the constituent base that we're really familiar with are those analysts and the large employer, self-funded employer groups that really want to start digging in the data. They really want not only the data itself, but the tools to derive meaningful insight from that data. Okay? So that's when we look at those constituent types and those users, we say, well, that's really how we need to organize the capability that Benefitfocus will bring to market for our carriers around each of these needs. And that manifests in three components of our carrier application. The plan shopping app that's integrated with claims for the member, the core analytics dashboard that's surfaced for that group HR administrator. And then for our typical power users that we've been engaged with for years, we have the Advanced Analytics platform. Okay? So let's step into the next lens, really, and double-click into each one of those very quickly. Plan Shopping app, those of you that participated in the keynote yesterday saw my good friend Matt Brown give a great demonstration of the Plan Shopping app. And that's that elegant employee decision support tool, right, that helps them evaluate the best plan option. It's fully integrated into your carrier-branded e-enrollment instance, and it's personalized with each member's claim data. So what does that mean? How's that helpful? It lets them look at the base case of their usage on what they actually did last year, evaluate the full out-of-pocket costs of all their plan options for next year, and do some scenario analysis into the future. So it's a decision based in fact that's personalized to me. Okay? And that out-of-pocket cost is not only around what's going to be driven by my claim expense, but it's also considering what my employer is contributing to the premium, it is my deductible, and it is my copay. Very powerful, personalized decision support for your members. And then we go to that HR administrator, right? The HR administrator that's hungry for insights that can help them participate in guiding, in making sure that our increase in premium is tolerable and sustainable over time. However, they may not be the clinical user that's typically using this type of data in the largest self-funded insurers. And so there's those 15, you saw these yesterday in the keynote as well, there's the 15 reports, all with graphical data user interface to really sum up key deductions from those reports and the corresponding actionable insights for each of those reports. Now, we're well aware that the types of data and insights that a fully insured customer may require are vastly different than those that a self-insured customer may require. Okay? And so you have discretion in when you set this capability up for your various market segments to define what reports are displayed to what market segments. Okay? A couple of key examples. Fully insured customers are very interested to understand the value that's being delivered by the insurance plan and understand that the benefits are being taken advantage of by their employees. So a fully insured customer would certainly want to understand if the wellness benefit, the annual screening, is being taken advantage of by their employees. That's claims data, right? They would certainly want to understand how the care patterns from in and out of network utilization is accruing to out-of-pocket claims costs for their employees. Okay? On the fully insured, the self-funded side, they're interested in the more traditional metrics that the self-funded employers track. Utilization, trends, costs, clinical risk, those types of things that we've been engaging around for years, but engaging in somewhat of a high cost level of service. And then we go to our traditional power users being serviced by the Advanced Analytics platform. There's two segments within that as well. There are the smaller self-funded groups where they don't typically have at their disposal a clinician to interpret the data for them, right? And then some of the larger groups that really have those capabilities in-house, or you're consulting with them with your clinical capabilities. So there are different flavors of users within this. So what that means is the data, if we're not able to rely on clinician interpretation, the data and the user interface needs to drive insight for a non-clinical user, and it certainly does that. But they're interested in trending costs over time. They're interested in being able to drill down into key informational areas that are used to diagnosis code, procedural codes, provider, where we're spending our money. Okay? But they're also interested in budgeting. They're interested in understanding not only the claim costs, but they're also interested in laying on other costs for the total administration of their plan. They're interested in understanding, putting in the stop-loss premium, understanding the net out after the stop-loss pays. They're understanding adding in the admin fees, netting out the employee contribution and getting that net total plan cost, and then tracking that against their budget. Right? That's where their interests lie. So they need a tool that can do that. On the larger end of the market, there are those employers that we don't have all the data that they need. They may have on-site healthcare clinics where they want to bring encounter data into the mix and look at the total utilization. They may have a carve-out PBX, and for the tool to be helpful to them, that data needs to be able to be interpreted and brought in. Okay? And then finally, they're always thinking about how to control costs by tweaks with their plan. Well, wouldn't it be nice if they could take tweaks to their plan design, overlay that on existing claim data, and understand the cost-shifting dynamic to their employees? Well, this tool will allow them to do that. Okay? And then the final piece of the puzzle, how we think about it, is, well, that's great capability, but how does it complement the investments that I've already made? Okay? Many of you have enrollment, your own carrier-branded version of enrollment. Okay? So the Core and Advanced Analytics complements that in the following way. The Core Analytics component, comprised of the Plan Shopping app and the Core Analytics dashboard, lives within e-enrollment and is easily accessible from e-enrollment by the member and the HR administrator. And it complements well any integration automation you may have already have in place. Okay? The Advanced Analytics platform can work in conjunction with or independently from enrollment and Core Analytics. But the key is it shares a single common integration with the claims data for claims, eligibility, and RX information. Okay? So one feed, two capabilities, two audiences. And then finally, for those large strategic groups that may require claims from other sources, those can be accommodated at your discretion per group to meet the needs of your various customers. Okay? So what does that mean in our core and advanced benefit analytics for carriers? It provides that personalized user engagement at the member level. It provides that user-friendly, non-clinical, self-service client reporting function that can accommodate multiple data types, whether that's multiple systems internally or partner systems as well. It allows you the discretion to define the data and the reports that you're going to offer up per market segment. It's fully integrated with the enrollment investments you have today. And finally, it drives that efficient claim reporting and analysis distribution that we need when the data is being requiring much more prevalency by our customers.